Hello and welcome to FPL Roulette Game Week 5, the Big Ron Rom Show. And they have been dominating the headlines, that's for sure. Welcome, everybody. I'm Alex.
I'm Sammy.
So, it's been an interesting week that just passed for FPL. For both of us, I've had a pretty bad experience. Sammy's been doing pretty well. But we are both going to discuss in some significant detail today some of the pressing topics of the week. And obviously, the season is getting into its rhythm a bit more now. So, Sammy, tell us how your week was last in terms of general. Like, how did you find everything go?
So game week 4, I mean, I guess we talked about it on our previous pod, whether getting Ronaldo was the right call. No, but let's be honest. Everyone who brought in Ronaldo and captained him got extremely lucky. No one was expecting a brace on his debut
against Newcastle. I think they were.
No, but the thing is, there was always that question: is he going to start? I mean, sure, it wasn't a huge doubt. It was most likely he was going to start, but there was always that what if? What if Oli, brought him in at 60 minutes or something, and then he just didn't do anything. So taking a hit, bringing him was always a risk, but I guess it was sort of like a calculated risk, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
yeah,
you had a much better game week than me, so I probably don't have any clue what I'm talking about. But I very respectfully and positively disagree. I think it was an obvious thing to do. If it had been Chelsea away, it maybe wouldn't have been such a big open move to make. But with Newcastle at home, without Callum Wilson, there was clearly no threat from Newcastle going forward, even though apparently St. Maximin had a good game.
He did, yeah.
But that just meant that Newcastle were going to sit and defend, and you can't keep United out at Old Trafford if you're Newcastle for 90 minutes. And if they weren't going to keep United out for 90 minutes, there was going to be a certain person involved. And I think what everybody, me included, and I feel particularly stupid because I'm a Juve fan, so I've seen Ronaldo for years, and therefore I know what he's like as a character, because you read things, you see rumors, you see how he talks to the bench, like as in on the pitch, how he talks to the bench.
Right. Yeah.
He is the big guy. He's in control of everything, really. I mean, he has, even last season at Juventus when Andrea Pirlo was manager, quite similar to Ole in a weird way. Both ex-players of the club, both legends of the club. Right. Pirlo for Juve, Ole for United. But you could tell last year that Ronaldo just had more power than Pirlo. You could tell. He called all the shots, really. I mean, there was one week where I think Juve had to do some extra training, and Ronaldo was being swanned around a Ferrari factory with the Juventus hierarchy. I mean, he exists on a different plane to the other players, and
that's true.
For that reason, there was no way he wasn't going to start, in my view. But as you said, hindsight is a wonderful thing, right?
Yeah.
So those guys on the screen will form a big part of the discussion today. But moving straight ahead, you're doing pretty well, aren't you? Tell us about your game week.
Not too bad. So I ended up scoring 74 points with a 4-point hit. So essentially 70 points. I ended up with an overall rank of around 340K, which not too bad. I think I was like 500K the previous week. So, up almost 200 K rank. So, but like I said, I think I got quite lucky because my initial thought was to make the logical move and just move Ings to Calvert-Lewin, which would have been a disaster because he didn't even end up playing that game week. So yeah, so I mean, things just went well, which is surprising because FPL usually that's not the case. So in defense, actually, I think it's the first time my defense did really well. Sanchez kept a clean sheet. Shaw had a attacking return that I think was assisted Ronaldo. Trent was amazing as usual. And I think that's one reason why people shouldn't even consider removing Trent and keeping, pretty much having him as a season keeper this season.
Yeah.
And Ben White, finally, Arsenal somehow, got their first win, got their first goal, which again was crazy because I think Arsenal had 30 shots that game, and they just missed so many. Alba had like really good chances, which I think he should have at least had like 2 goals, but ended up with just that 1 goal. Yeah, and then my midfield. So I sold Fernandes, and he scored, but again, overall, Ronaldo did do better. So I think I did come up on top of that. I think Greenwood got lucky on that assist, honestly, because it was, that shot was okay, but Ronaldo was at the right spot, and then he got the assist. So I don't know. Greenwood is on my mind whether I should move him on. Benrahma again blanked, which is again another question whether to keep him. Salah being Salah, Mr. Consistent, delivered. Rafinha, which was a little disappointing, 2 points, but Leeds do have a good set of fixtures, so I'm going to hold him on. Jota, I think, was really unlucky because he gave so many good chances to Mane, and which he should have at least got like 1 assist from that, but he ended up getting subbed off before Mane scored, so that was quite unlucky. And yeah, I think Ronaldo, I think everyone knows what he did. So Antonio was, I think, the unluckiest for all managers. A red card, I think it was the 95th minute, or if I'm mistaken, or 90th minute or something like that. The second yellow, which was quite unnecessary. So again, that kind of brings into doubt what to do with Antonio this week, which we'll get to into the pod. But yeah, overall, I think I did okay. Not too bad.
I think you did very well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the average was 57. So yeah, I mean, quite a bit above the average. What do you think about my team?
You got your captaincy right, and you pretty much got returns from all your defense.
True. Yeah. But what do you think about like my midfield, or I guess forward?
I mean, it's strong. I think you've got a very good team, and I think that your team looks strong going forward. I mean, the bench is something separate, but your starting 11 is good.
Right.
I really don't see any holes in it. You're investing predominantly in Liverpool and United, and that's a good thing to be doing because both those teams look strong, and West Ham looks strong, even though they had a iffy game against Southampton.
Yeah.
And as you said, Rafinha and White have both got brilliant fixtures coming up. They've both got amazing fixtures coming up. Sanchez is looking consistent in goal. I think he's firmly looking like the preferred 4.5 this year.
Sure. Yeah.
So overall, your team is looking good. You must be pretty pleased.
Yeah, not too bad. Can't complain.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what transfers you've got planned, if any.
Yeah. I've got a few options. How about you? Let's look at your team.
Yeah, well, compared to your high, I had somewhat of a low. And that's an understatement. In fact, I was texting a friend of mine who is in one of my other private leagues.
Okay.
And he was like, oof, after the first day, you were on 27. It was looking bleak. But Salah and Trent saved my week, frankly. They came in, Trent especially saved my week. He really, when I was cruising for a really bad game week, I thought I would love it if Trent gave me something to just make me happy, but I'm not going to rely on it. But he did. And he really is looking, as you said, quite wisely. He's looking irreplaceable and undroppable. I'm very surprised. I mean, I've made some very radical decisions with my team for transfers, and you're probably going to kill me. But one thing I've not done is got rid of him because I don't understand how people are. I really don't.
I don't either.
I view him essentially as a premium, costing 7.5, playing in midfield, who can also get clean sheet points. I mean, it's just a joke. He's a joke player. He's just he's a cheat code. And as long as he doesn't get injured.
Sorry, he's another Liverpool winger, essentially. So
yeah. I mean, Harvey Elliott, who had that horrible injury, and I hope he's all right. That horrific, horrible thing. Poor guy. That might be interesting to see with his absence, because apparently I've not been watching with a massive precision Liverpool, but he was apparently going a lot to the right wing, which meant that Trent had some cover. So tactically, it'll be interesting to see if Trent now has to drop back a bit. But I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, even if he does, I still want him.
He's still worth it.
Going through my team, though, I mean, Meslier, crap. Reguilon, crap. Benrahma, and Rafinha, and worst of all, my attackers. I mean, this is where I made the big mistake. We both watch Black Box, right? And they have this kind of thing, this mantra about learning from mistakes. And I think sometimes on Black Box, they don't actually explore that mantra that much. Maybe because they're both really good managers and don't make many mistakes.
That's true.
But this is one such example. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have an instinct and it's eating away at you and it's saying, do this, do this, do this, you should do it. Because that's what happened. All week, I was saying, this is an easy thing to do. Just bring in Ronaldo and captain him, done. Don't think about anything else. It would have been perfect. I had 2 free transfers. So I would have done that, gone into the next week with 2 free transfers again, and I would have had a completely different game week. I mean, I wouldn't have had a drastically different game week, but it was let's look here. So Kane got 4 points, Ronaldo got 26 points. So it would have been a 22-point swing.
Yeah.
So I would have been on 71. Very different. I would have had a green arrow for sure.
True.
Of course, like most people, or like a lot of people, Antonio was an issue.
Yeah.
Spurs, again, I think I've misread that. It's hard to say because I'm surprised Palace did them, but they did.
Me too. Yeah.
They did, and I think rather than saying, "Oh, Tottenham played badly," what I'm taking out of that match is we should maybe view Palace differently. Because this year, Palace look more offensive, more aggressive. They've got more creativity. They've got more goal scorers.
Yeah.
They've got Gallagher, who looks in amazing form, which is no secret. And they've got that new striker. I forget what his name is. They just look a slightly different outfit. Still, jury's out. But yeah, so my game week was a bit of a disaster. But like someone that is going to remain positive, I've made costly but necessary changes, in my opinion. So this week has been a write-off, but fortunately, Trent and Salah saved it from being an ultimate disaster, where it could have been literally 30-something points, which would have been really, really bad.
Right.
So moving on. So it's probably fair to say that many managers who take this game exceptionally seriously have looked at the upcoming fixtures and thought, I'll have Ronaldo till this fixture, so till game week 7. I'll then get Lukaku to game week 14. From game week 14, when United have got unbelievable fixtures, I'll go back to Ronaldo, etc., etc., etc. That's one school of thought. The other school of thought is I actually want both of them. And there's got to be something we can do to our team to get both of them. And that's why there have been so many wildcards this week, right? Because I think a lot of people will be bringing either one of, if not both of these guys in. So, Sammy, what do you think? I mean, how are you feeling about one, both, neither? I mean, obviously you've got one, but where do you stand on this?
So my current thought process is essentially stick with Ronaldo and then bring in Lukaku when his fixtures turn in game week 7. Having said that, I do think it is feasible getting in both Ronaldo and Lukaku as your front two. The only problem with that is you probably will have to compromise on your midfield. Get in those 5.5 million strikers or 6 million strikers. I'm sorry, 5.5 midfielder or 6 million midfielder. So it's possible, and I've seen some of the teams, especially on the FPL community, a lot of people have put in their wildcard drafts of having Lukaku, Ronaldo, Salah, and Trent. So essentially, they're your big 4 premium assets right now. Yeah, and the teams don't look that bad actually. It looks all right. But the thing is, I don't know. I don't think it's worth using your wildcard to just bring all of them in right now, unless you're also targeting Chelsea's fixtures from game week 7. So for example, if you're using your wildcard right now, are you getting in Chelsea defenders? Are you getting in James, Rudiger, and possibly Mount or Havertz? So I think if you have if you're getting in players that you're aiming for game week 7 also, that's fine. But the thing is, most people aren't. Like, they're just trying to fit in Ronaldo, Lukaku, Salah, and Trent. So then they're just getting in, essentially enablers like, Gallagher's, your Damari Gray's. So you're not really getting in Chelsea defenders at that point, which means you'll have to make extra transfers later on. But again, you do have game week 6, 7, and you could take hits. But yeah, it's possible that you could fit in 2 premiums. But I personally am going to wait until game week 7, use my wild card, bring in Lukaku, and then I'll see how Ronaldo is doing the next couple of game weeks. He's playing, I think, is he playing West Ham?
I think he's who is he playing? I think he's playing West Ham.
I think he's playing West Ham. So that could be a tricky fixture possibly, because West Ham's defense has been all right. I mean, they've not been terrible. I think it's a wait and see for me personally. But like I said, like, if you do want to like completely revamp your team, I get the benefits of that. There's definitely pros in doing that as well. What do you think on having multiple premiums?
Nothing is certain in my view at the moment. It's early in the season. People don't have the team value yet. I mean, maybe some people do that have just been ludicrously attacking price rises, but I think most people haven't got the value to really incorporate these 2 guys plus Trent plus Salah plus a balanced team. It's a gamble either way, right?
Yeah.
They both are quality players. They both don't often have injury historically. They're both going to be the figureheads of their team. They're both greedy goal scorers. They're clinical. They're dangerous. And without doubt, they're the most important players for each of their clubs, respectively. I mean, Ronaldo is now definitely the main man at United, and Lukaku is the most important player in Chelsea now. I mean, there are other great players at Chelsea. There's Havertz, Mount, Kante, who's just a legend and one of their key players, and Rudiger, and then obviously the keeper and Azpilicueta. But Lukaku is the finishing touch, and without him, I mean, I say without him, they won the Champions League without him, but he's just everything that they needed.
Right.
But looking at the stats with more specificity, they both shoot a lot. They both have a decent amount of shots in the box. They both are around big chances. And I have to stipulate to people that whilst this may sound obvious, this is based on 1 game for Ronaldo. 1 game.
Exactly.
So he looks, in this particular comparison, way better than Lukaku. And I should stipulate that is somewhat of a false comparison. And I would also add that this is courtesy of Fantasy Football Hub, of which I am a subscriber. These statistics, I mean. And this comparison tool is really, really good. But even if you discount the fact that it's comparing 1 player and 1 game to another player that's played several games, all their attributes are pointing in the right directions, aren't they?
Right. Yeah.
And I definitely understand why people are thinking, I'll have 1 here, another 1 there. Because if you can get on board and board the trains of other assets that take off and, do really, really well, you could arguably get assets way cheaper in a more balanced team that get you the points just as much, if not more, than these guys. And that's going to be compounded by the fact that these guys will have Champions League and they might get rested. I don't think Lukaku will get rested much, but I think Ronaldo will get rested here and there, especially given the fact that he got rested occasionally at Juve, especially in the later months of the season with Champions League. What tended to happen, if I remember correctly, was if Juve had a Champions League game, he would miss the league game before it, unless it was a really big game like against Inter or Roma or Napoli.
Right.
He would normally get rested then and then play the Champions League or whatever. But they're both going to play. There's full houses in the stadiums. They're going to have the crowd behind them. And I think these 2 especially are going to really fight it out for the Golden Boot. They really are. They're going to go. They both will want to win it. Both these guys, and Salah and Kane, although I don't think Kane really is in the conversation right now. But those
No.
three, Salah, Ronaldo, Lukaku, they're all going to be fighting for the Golden Boot. They're all winners. They're all amazing goal scorers. They're all legends of their club. They're all going to want to win that top prize.
Yeah.
I think one of the slightly underestimated aspects of FPL is psychology and thinking about how players themselves think. All three of those guys are elite, and they will all want to be at the top of the pack at the end of the season. And that makes them better assets because it will make them more selfish. It will make them watch over their shoulder and see how the other guys are doing. You know, they play for the goals, they play for the numbers, they play for the status. So my personal feeling is, I think it's probably more sensible to have just one and transition fixtures to fixtures.
Yeah.
But I've got them both now. And I think that unless anything radical takes place, like an injury,
right,
I plan to keep them season long. But it's game week 5. I might eat those words. But I think of the Italian league last year, these two guys scored the most goals in the Italian league. They were the most important players in the Italian league by a mile. I'm not saying the Italian league is as good as the Premier League. It's not. But you already have a template of these guys from last year where they both were the best players in their league. And they played virtually all the games. So, yeah, I think sensible to have one or the other. A bit more of a gamble to have both, but that's what I've got. But as I alluded to, there are other options out there, one of which is Antonio. We'll come on to him in a minute, but how do the other options look for you?
Well, Calvert-Lewin was looking like a really enticing option until last game week. So he's definitely out of the question for now. But I think Bamford seems like a good option. He does have decent numbers as well. However, Leeds haven't really hit the ground running as of yet. Like how they start off really well last season. Exactly, yeah. So they haven't had the best starts, but they do have excellent fixtures coming up. So I do think if you are adamant on, for example, moving on from Antonio, Bamford would be a sensible pick and definitely worth
fixtures too, right?
Yeah, good fixtures, decent priced, most likely on penalties as well.
He's not the gamble that he was last year, is he? He's proven he can do it.
Exactly. He's and you know that he can pretty much play 38 games straight, and especially in a Bielsa team as well, which says a lot. You know, that just speaks volumes.
And can I just say something else?
Yeah, go ahead.
I watched the highlights. Well, say something else. Say something connected to what you've just said, Sammy.
Sure.
Did you see the highlights of the Leeds game last week?
I did, Liverpool? Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember at the beginning of the game or early on in the game, Rafinha created that glorious chance in the he kind of dribbled on the right, sprinted past, I think it was Robertson, and played a great ball to Rodrigo.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Rodrigo cocked that shot up. I mean, he should have scored. He should have put that away. And for me, I know it sounds like it's kind of very anecdotal and a very kind of limited example, but that when I saw that reinforced Bamford's importance, because Bielsa would have probably seen that and thought, if Rodrigo puts that reasonably easy chance away, it's a different game.
That's true.
He didn't. And I just think that if Rodrigo is to convince Bielsa that he's the main man up front and Bamford maybe starts to play second fiddle or gets subbed more or plays less minutes, he's got to be putting those chances away.
That's
I think that would have been a big disappointment.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just thought I'd mention that.
Good point. Yeah, no,
it was a fantastic chance.
It was.
He had time to shoot as well.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, Rodrigo really hasn't been as good as people would have expected after he signed for Leeds last season. And the thing is, I think his question of whether he's still going to play in the midfield or play up top, like you said, whether he's going to play second fiddle or like first, if he's going to play the main striker in the Leeds team is still a question mark. But the way Bamford's performing and his numbers, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah,
so I think Bamford's still the main man. Yeah. Other than Bamford, do you see anyone else that could be a good option?
Well,
that price point.
Apparently, Watkins had a good game last week, and that would make me wonder whether he and Ings are becoming better assets. The fixtures remain iffy,
Yeah.
But I think Jesus, I wouldn't touch him with a barge pole. I don't know what's. I mean, I think Torres is now their main striker.
Really. It does seem like that way, yeah.
But even with Torres, I mean, they've got KDB, Foden. They've got lots of players coming back.
Yeah,
Sterling,
especially the Champions League coming back as well. So it's
the
Pep Roulette's going to go crazy at this point. So.
It is going to go mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's going to probably buy this channel just so he can keep rouletting all
the time.
Right. But I think you're bang on the money. It's Calvert-Lewin, isn't it? If he's fit, I think he's the great option.
Absolutely.
Because in terms of the technicality of teams, he's got this. He's in a team that's set up for him now. They've got people on the flanks crossing.
That's true.
Townsend, Gray, Dean, all these guys. He's going to feed off that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not like last year where James Rodriguez played some nice Hollywood passes across the pitch that may or may not result in a dangerous moment, or Digne having 20 corners and one of which is dangerous.
Yeah.
I think Benitez is a good manager, and I think he knows that his forward is good at receiving those chances. That's where he thrives.
True.
So when he returns from injury, whenever that will be, he's definitely someone I'm going to keep my eye on.
Yeah, me too. It's definitely on the watch list.
Yeah. Well, we didn't mention one of them because I think he deserves his own
thing. Yeah. I think this is like a hot topic for most managers this game week. What to do with Antonio? Do you bench him? Do you sell him? I mean, it's a good question. What do we do with him? Personally, I'm willing to keep him because he has really good fixtures after United. They played Leeds, which his defense is like pretty much non-existent at this point. Like either the main defenders are injured or they're suspended, and they play Brentford right after that. So it's like two plum fixtures, which I think Antonio would be perfect for. So I personally wouldn't sell him. And the thing is, if you sell him, it's hard to bring him back because you're going to waste a transfer. Secondly, his price is increased, so you might not even have money in the bank to bring him back. So I think Antonio is definitely worth keeping in my opinion. What do you think? What do you?
I mean, he's the top. First of all, in case anyone's forgotten, he's still the top scoring player in the game.
That's true. He is, yeah.
And he's just. I kind of feel on a side topic that it's a bit of a shame that he didn't play for England because, I mean, he's eligible to play for Jamaica, England, and I think maybe one other country. Maybe not, actually. I think maybe just Jamaica and England. And he chose to play for Jamaica. And I probably assume maybe he really wants to play for Jamaica. I don't know. But I assume that he just felt at a certain point, that he wasn't getting a chance with England.
Possibly.
But he really, but he offers something that he's a much more informed striker than Kane right now. He's way more physical than Kane. He's faster than Kane. I don't think he's as good as finisher, even though I think he's a very good finisher.
Yeah.
But he is just, in my opinion, a great player. And has proven to be clinical. I think, as from Blackbox said, if he's fit and firing, you just bring him in full stop. And I think he's right. He's such an effective FPL asset. And he's just a fantastic player. Full stop. Amen.
That's true.
I think you're right to keep him. Most people are right to keep him. I've gotten rid of him. I've upgraded him to Lukaku, much to my reluctance. But I've got a plan, and my plan meant that I couldn't afford him.
Fair enough.
But no way. I wouldn't sell him. He's bound for United, so he doesn't even have to worry about the United game. And then, as you said, he's got two really plum fixtures.
The only question mark that I see is West Ham are playing Europa League. I think today, actually, right? I think the game's today.
Yeah, I think it is.
So the question is whether his hamstrings are going to hold on for this game and whether he's going to be fit. But the thing is, he has had his rest as well. So he's not. I mean, I guess he's been training, but I think he should be okay. But I mean, that's still a question mark whether he's going to play 90 minutes or how many minutes he's going to play in Europe, and then whether he's going to be ready 2 weeks after, which is a while. So I mean, it should be enough time. But again, it's Antonio because you can never tell with these injuries as well.
Yeah, it's a good point you make. Equally, he's going to have a rest, isn't he? He's not going to play for United.
That's true.
I remember reading, I think recently, that he has gone on some sort of new diet over the last year.
Yeah.
And he said that it's helped his injury issues because he feels less bloated, he feels more relaxed, he feels more powerful, he's recovering better.
True.
He's always going to have that cloud over his head of injury, like Danny Ings. He's always going to be the player that's always a possibility. But it doesn't seem to me like it's going to happen to him. And as long as it doesn't, he remains arguably one of the best assets in the game. Not arguably, definitely.
Definitely, yeah.
So you're not wrong. He should be kept by people. He's such a good player, such a good asset. And he's the heart of everything West Ham do. I worry about West Ham actually this week against United. Defensively, they're going to be the same, but they don't have that presence now. He can cause any defense's trouble. Without him, they're undoubtedly a different team.
That's true.
Yeah, so I think we agree, don't we, that he's a keeper.
Yeah, I think if you can have a playing bench, like the first person off your bench to be a decent player, I think you should bench Antonio and then have your bench play for this game week. Yeah. And
I say all that having gotten rid of him. So look at me. look at Mr. Stupid over here. But part of the reason I wanted to shake up my team, but I'll talk about my transfers later, was because I wanted to attack a bit rather than be passive. That's just my theory, just my approach, may backfire. But what has emerged over the first few weeks is the rise of certain midfield budget players. Some people, like Joe from Fantasy Football Scout, for example, might call them enablers.
Right.
And this chart is credit to FPL Naked Eye Guy. Never met you, never spoken to you, but I found this on FPLReddit's Twitter, and I thought I'd bring it up, where he outlines 3 very reasonably priced players who are playing very well. And if you have a few of these, or one of these, or 2 of these guys, and it's not just exclusively these 3, but these 3 have been playing particularly well, you can start putting that money into more areas and really playing around with your team. Gallagher especially looks an amazing threat, doesn't he?
Those are really good numbers, yeah. Like if he's got an XG of 1.3, 10 shots, out of which 4 on target, 13 penalty area touches. Yeah, really good underlying numbers.
On set pieces.
Yeah, on set pieces. And he passes the eye test, because I saw that game, because that was the first game.
Never going to be dropped now. Never going to be dropped.
No,
Vieira would have to go mad overnight to drop him now.
Yeah, exactly. It's turning out a good option, actually. Definitely on the watch list now.
Definitely on the watch list.
Yeah.
But also the fixtures, right? He's got a tough fixture, and then they're kind of here and there.
That's true. But I guess if you are going with multiple premium assets, I think Gallagher would be a good budget enabler. I think that is an option people should consider for sure.
In terms of Everton, there's obviously Calvert-Lewin, who's at the top of the pyramid, and everything revolves around him.
Right.
But there's these suppliers, these guys behind him, Gray, Decore, even Allen, people are talking about now, Dean, and maybe Richarlison, but he kind of is an asset next to Calvert-Lewin rather than supporting him. And let's face it, he's got a bit of an ego, doesn't he, Richarlison? I don't think he wants to be feeding Calvert-Lewin the whole time.
He's just also he's also just a red card waiting to happen. Like that guy's got no calm or mental capacity to control the game. So
I find him so funny. He's always got a massive aggro face. He always looks angry with the world, doesn't he?
He looks annoyed and just pissed off all the time.
He's got like a frown that's going to give him an absolutely massive frown in old age. He's just a very aggro man. Good player though.
He's a good player. Did you watch that game where he was fighting for the penalty? That was, oh my god! Like, you're a professional player. Like come on, man. Like, what are you doing?
Especially since he clearly had the discussion before at length with Benitez.
Exactly.
Like Benitez even said, we had this discussion, and he was like, yeah, that's fine. And then he gets on the pitch and he's like crying, whinging.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
And I don't get what that's all about. Like, Calvert-Lewin takes one, and he takes one. Just give it to Calvert-Lewin. He'll deal with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But are any of them catching your eye?
Well, for me, Townsend is trying to look like a good option. Like I think he's on a couple of set pieces too as well. Like I think he's on a couple of corners as well on the right. And he puts in really good crosses. Even when he was playing with Palace, he always passed the eye test for me. He was always putting in good passes, getting in the right positions, always playing out far up the pitch as well. So I think Townsend could be an option, but again, I'm not really considering any Everton players at the moment. So
why is that?
I mean, just basically because it doesn't really fit in the structure of my team, and
okay,
I'm not. And for me, their fixtures they're okay, but they're not the they're better teams with better fixtures. Let me just put it that way. So for me, I'm more of a fixture guy for sure. So I definitely like to if I see a team with really good fixtures, I would preferably try to target one of the players from those teams. And Everton for me is just a wait and see for now. Maybe until
a weird
Calvin-Lewin's back.
question.
Yeah.
I totally get what you're saying about other teams having better fixtures, but how much import do you put on a diversified team? Because if you've got like 3 United, 3 Liverpool, 3 West Ham,
right?
Do you feel like I'm happy with that and I don't care about whatever talents are at other teams? Or do you think, well, actually, it would be nice if maybe I had 1 or 2 assets from other teams to balance it all out? Because if, for example, one week, those core teams have a bad week and those other teams that you hypothetically, I'm saying just hypothetically, neglect.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to ask is, do you like to have a balance of different teams?
I do actually.
Or do you just think these are the main teams I want? I don't care about any other players if they're not from these teams. These are the teams I'm going for.
No, I mean, you make a good question, actually. For me, I definitely like a good balanced team because, like you said, if you have 3 players and they all blank, that just, brings down your rank quite substantially. So I do like getting players from different teams as long as they have decent fixtures. So ideally, especially like on a wild card, I like to target the top 6 to 8 teams because, I mean, they always have the best underlying numbers, best attacking numbers, the best defensive numbers. But if I do see... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, best overall numbers. But if you do see, say, a team like Palace, for example, say Gallagher, he passes the eye test for me. If he has a decent set of fixtures, I'm ready to bring him in. But for me, fixtures do play a big priority when it comes to transfers, because if he's not from a team that is very attacking, doesn't have the best underlying numbers, I try and hold that transfer and then wait a few games until I see some returns. So yeah. How about you?
Okay.
Do you like to have players? I mean, do you like have a well diversified team, or do you like pretty much put like 3 players from each of the big teams?
I mean, I definitely do like having a blend of different players in different teams. I think it's important because if you just basically, as you said, we've already established, if you have like just all the big teams and like 3 of each, and that's it, and then those teams don't have a good week.
Right.
And then, because FPL as a game doesn't care about the league table. All it cares about is individuals from any team, regardless, doing things. So to kind of elaborate on what I'm saying, if there's a match, Brentford versus Watford, and Dennis from Watford gets 2 goals, and then in another match, Ronaldo from United gets 2 goals, Ronaldo's goals aren't worth anymore.
That's true. They're not.
I mean, it sounds obvious, but it almost seems like to some people they are. They're not. They're both getting the same amount of points.
Yep.
Again, sounds obvious, but so it's not really for me about. For me, it's about likelihood.
Yeah.
Dennis getting those goals is less likely, considerably less likely. But if they get those points, the values are exactly the same. True. So. Yeah, I like to have a blend, but predominantly, I like to give a little bit of space for some of those other assets, but predominantly the big teams, as you said, top 6, top 8, in form, with good fixtures especially.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's always teams that have good fixtures.
That is true. Yeah.
Even if they're not the teams that you want them to be.
Yeah.
So, moving on, we have some FPL Reddit community questions and deliberations.
Yep. Exciting.
And, yeah, very exciting. So these cropped up on our little post, And in Njonjic, if that's how you pronounce your name, if that even is your name. Where are you from, if that's your name? I have no idea. But thank you for your contribution. And congratulations on being top 5K in the world, if that's true. Hope you're not lying to us. I'm sure it's true.
I mean, it's Reddit. It has to be true, right?
It has to be true. Yeah. Everything you read on Reddit is true, without any shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
But he writes, "Hey guys, currently in top 5K in the world, my team looks like this: Sanchez, Gunn, Eiling, Trent, Tierney, Livramento, Shaw, Benrahma, Grealish, Salah, Jota, Greenwood, Antonio, Lukaku, Perica. Have 1 free transfer and 0 in the bank, thinking of either holding the transfer for this week, benching Antonio and going 4-5-1. Do you have any ideas that are better for this week? Little worried with going without Leeds stacking players. Thanks in advance." Well, your top 5K, you give us ideas, please.
Exactly. I think you're asking the wrong people, man.
You have. But let's play devil's advocate and answer this question, right? So why don't you take this first, Sammy? What do you think?
So I think he asks an excellent question. I mean, that's the same question most managers have at this point, like what to do with Antonio. I personally would bench him, and
you have to bench him.
And and then go for a 4-5-1. But you ask another really good question as well, whether you should make a transfer and that you're worried without any Leeds players. And I think that is that's a legitimate worry as well, because Leeds have really good fixtures ahead. So I personally I personally would bring in a Leeds player, because I think from your forwards, I mean, you can't really make any moves. So Rafinha would be the obvious pick. So the thing is, you have 0 in the bank. So Benrahma to Rafinha is not going to work, because I think you would need like a 0.2, possibly 0.3. So that means either you have to downgrade Grealish or Jota or Greenwood. Jota, I think you should keep, because Liverpool have really good fixtures. Greenwood thing is, you don't have Lukaku or Bruno. So I think you definitely need
have Lukaku. Do you mean Ronaldo?
I'm sorry, Ronaldo. Sorry, yeah. So you don't have Ronaldo. You don't have Bruno. So Greenwood would be, just to have some united attacking coverage. I think Greenwood would be a nice player to have. So for me, I would actually downgrade Grealish and then bring in Rafinha. I mean, that seems like the best transfer that I can think of. What do you think?
I think you're right. But at the same time, I'm hesitant, because Grealish is now, he's rising in prominence for City, isn't he? He scored a great goal in the Champions League.
That's true, he did, yeah.
He's versatile. Pep is always saying good things about him, and Pep doesn't always do that with his players.
True.
Grealish is looking like the key man so far this season for them.
Yeah.
Which is not surprising, because everybody who knows anything about football has always known that Grealish is a fantastic player.
Absolutely.
People say, for example, he can't shoot. He's not great at finishing. And don't get me wrong, I don't have the stats to hand, but I saw him score some great goals last season and the season before that and the season before that. If they're talking about quantity, fine. But in terms of his all-round ability, he's just an amazing player. True. But I do marginally agree with you, because with City, the issue is rotation and it's goal distribution. They're all scoring.
Exactly, yeah.
So how can you really... There's not a greedy asset at City that's going to play all the time that can get all the goals, like Ronaldo at United, for example. There just isn't that guy. Grealish is going to play for the team, which means he'll have games where he does nothing for FPL, in FPL terms.
That's true.
So, yeah, that seems to me like to be a good option. If you want to make that transfer in Njonjic, we would kind of say Grealish. I would also be tempted to downgrade Greenwood as well, but you're not wrong. Without Ronaldo, they have nothing. He has no United coverage. None.
Yeah, and another point that I want to add is Greenwood was, I think he was rested for the Champions League game, right? I don't think he came on. And Grealish, I think, played, I think, at least 80 minutes that game. So I think if there's any chance of rotation, Grealish would probably be, his minutes would be reduced this weekend, and Greenwood would most likely start this weekend as well. So I think keeping Greenwood and downgrading Grealish would be your best bet in terms of having a player play a good number of minutes. So yeah.
One final thing in Njonjic, you have Luke Ayling.
Yeah.
They don't look good at all defensively, Leeds.
No,
at all. They look like they're more porous than a broken sieve.
Yeah, and Ayling's going to
So
play centre back as well this game because of their
yeah,
defensive issues. Yeah,
I got rid of Meslier for that very reason. I wanted to keep Meslier the whole season, but if he's not going to keep any clean sheets, what's the point?
that's true.
But maybe keep him for a few weeks in their great run, see how he does. But he will not, in my opinion, he doesn't offer much attacking threat, and they're going to concede goals, especially next game. Well, actually not next game, but they definitely will at some point concede a lot of goals throughout this run. I don't see that they've not got Llorente, Koch, or Strike. I think Strauk.
Yeah, Strauk. Yeah, Strauk.
Forgive my pronunciation. I don't even know where he's from. But they don't have any of those guys.
That's true.
They're going to have to play Cooper and Ayling centre backs, like you'd think is a dead likelihood. So whilst he is a Leeds asset, I think he's kind of a dead one. So or you could bring in Rafinha, straight swap. So Leeds is an interesting one, but obviously Adesant, 88, who replied to the comment, said Antonio to Bamford could be a good move. They have Newcastle. It's an interesting shout. It's you would profit from it immediately because Antonio can't play.
Yeah.
And Bamford has good fixtures, but it's just a question of who's the better asset. For me, it's Antonio, but we'll see. And then the second question, Shoe Stepper. Thank you for your post, Shoe Stepper. It's much appreciated. Play cash against Everton or transfer Benrahma out for Rafinha. My team is Sanchez, Gunn, Trent, Shaw, Cash, Tierney, Salah, Jota, Greenwood, Benrahma. This is all very similar to the previous team.
Right.
Tony, Lukaku, Antonio. Any transfer advice is appreciated. Thanks, guys. No, thank you for your question.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Well, I mean, I think what you mentioned, transfer Benrahma out for Rafinha, I think that seems to be a good shout. Because you have Antonio coming back next game. He's enough for West Ham coverage. Benrahma's numbers have declined quite a bit recently. So I think out of your midfield, I think Benrahma is probably your weakest link. So I think Rafinha for Benrahma is a good shout.
Yeah. Just generally about your team, Shoe Stepper. Tony, I like Basuma. I think Basuma's a great fifth midfielder if you're playing 3-4-3 or I think he's or 4-4-2. I think he's a great enabler. Good player, always going to play for Brighton. Might get the odd attacking return and might get the odd clean sheet point as well. So I like Basuma. And your defense looks strong. I don't know about Cash, but your defense looks strong. For me, Cash and Tony are the areas I'll be looking at. But we don't know what rank you have. You might be rank 5 in the whole world. And, you might be taking advice from a guy that's 800K. So, you decide. But thank you for your post. And thank you guys. I think it's a sensible move.
Right.
So, going back quickly. So, Njonjic did allude to Leeds. And I think Leeds is a good topic because before the season started, we all knew this run was coming and Leeds looked tempting, but they don't look so tempting now. So what do you think has happened?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I expected them to hit the ground running. That's why I had Rafinha from game week 1. I think it could be,
they had tough fixtures. They did have tough fixtures.
Yeah, that's true. They did have tough fixtures, but I mean, it's Leeds. They were just amazing last season. I think they played, was it, who did they play last season? I think, was it Chelsea or Spurs? I can't remember the first game, but they hit the ground running really quickly.
Liverpool, I think it was Liverpool.
Yeah, it was Liverpool. Exactly. You're right. That was Liverpool. So the thing is, Leeds are usually a fixture proof from what we've learned from last season. So I think everyone's expected them to do a lot better. So it's quite disappointing that they started off slow, but like you said, tough fixtures, plus it could be the whole second season syndrome, and they're just, just going to take some time, just to get into that rhythm. So, and
defensively, they look weak. They look really weak in defense.
They do, compared to the tail end of last season, especially. I'm not sure what's going on there.
They look like they have a championship defense.
They do.
And
they do.
When you play elite forwards, it's you can't keep much out if you have a championship defense. I actually really rate Llorente as a player. I think he's an amazing player. I mean, if you watch him when he's actually fit and available, Llorente is a top class player in my view. But he's not. He's injured all the time.
He's injured. Yeah, injured now. So Surprisingly, just to add, surprisingly, they didn't really add in any defensive reinforcements this summer, which is surprising.
Firpo, they got Firpo, the left back, right?
Well, yeah, left back, but I thought at least in center back they might, try to get like a strong center back. Surprising. I mean, the Firpo is a decent player, but the other signing I think was it who was the other signing?
James,
which was another. It's surprising they went for him again, and especially for the price that they paid. Was it like 25, 30 million? I mean, yeah, good job for the Manchester United negotiator.
Yeah,
he's definitely getting a raise. But I guess he does seem like a Bielsa kind of player, so I don't know, it might work out.
Yeah, he definitely seems like a Bielsa kind of player. He'll just run all day.
Exactly, just run. So
yeah, great work for the United transfer team there.
Yeah.
and United don't need him, do they? So
they don't. Yeah.
I mean, Lingard, who is an infinitely better player than James, can't get a game at the moment. So
did you watch the Champions League game yesterday? I think
I watched some of it. Yeah, I zoned in and out.
I don't know what Lingard was doing with that back pass. That was just, what are you doing?
I mean, he'll be all right. I mean, players make big mistakes. I remember last season when Juve played Porto in the Champions League. I think it was round of 16, and Juve, I think at that point were going through, and Porto scored a free kick, and Ronaldo was in the wall. And as the ball came into the wall, Ronaldo literally saw it coming and jumped out of the way. He kind of got scared by it. It went past Ronaldo into the goal. And the Juve fans were furious with Ronaldo for pussying out from staying in the wall.
I can imagine.
So people do make mistakes, right? But I think Lingard, not that I'm his, counselor or anything, but I think he needs to just leave it as it was, a mistake. But who knows? Maybe it will affect him and really affect his form. But I think he should just let it go because it was just a freak mistake and they happen.
That's true. Yeah.
Returning to Leeds, though, my interest in them, as probably is the case with many managers, has gone down.
Even with the fixtures coming up, like they've got excellent fixtures coming up. Do you think now might be the time where they might pick up some form?
I think it's possible, but defensively they look fragile,
weak. Yeah,
they're low on confidence. One assumes because you don't lose game after game after game and have confidence. One assumes.
True.
Bamford is a nice pick, I think. For me, the only realistic assets people should be looking at the moment are Rafinha and Bamford. But
absolutely,
players like Harrison, and maybe Firpo, the left back, maybe Dallas if he gets going again. These guys could all come into the equation, but at the moment they're just not showing enough.
Right.
And even their stats, I mean, I've highlighted this column, and if you look at this column and look at expected goals conceded, they are really bad. If I'm not mistaken, they're the second worst in the whole league.
Yeah, it looks like it, yeah.
I mean, they're not doing work. And I don't want to sound like some kind of, crap commentator, but if you concede goals to that extent, you're going to lose matches. It's just that simple.
That's true.
So offensively, they could get going. But until they get their centre-backs fit and available and cohesive, I don't envisage a resurgence from them. I've got Rafinha, and I'm happy to have him. Rafinha is great. If Leeds perk up, I've got him. Initial great cover. I can maybe bring in someone else. But that's as far as my commitment goes, I think.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. Even if you look at the XG, it's just 4.2. It's not that high as I would have thought for a Leeds team.
That's pretty average.
Yeah, but then if you think about it, for them, their best defense is just offense, really. Like for them, they're just going to try outscoring the other team. So
that's the point. They're not doing that either. So they're not conceding. They're not scoring, and they're conceding.
Yeah, but I feel like with the easy fixtures coming up, I can see them, start getting some goals in. I think
you're not wrong.
Yeah,
I tend to agree. However, teams will lick their lips playing Leeds now.
That is true. Yeah, that's another way of targeting as well. Like, who's playing Leeds this week? I'm going to get players from that team. Which is essentially what everyone's doing at this point. But so I mean, what that tells me is don't look at Leeds defense possibly look at their offense. It could come to fruition. So we'll see.
There was a lot of talk at the beginning of the season from people saying, "Oh, Luke Ayling is definitely the best option at 4.5. Okay, he didn't get any attacking returns last season, but he's going to this season." And I thought, why? There's no proof of that. There's no evidence of that. He is a talismanic player for them, but he's deployed in one of several defensive positions, centre back, wing back. And usually when he's wing back, he's a defensive wing back. Yeah, he does bomb forward occasionally, but he's not going to get you attacking returns. And given that they're leaking goals, he's not going to get you defensive returns either.
Yep.
So not a good pick anymore.
That's true.
In my view. Yeah. Let's leave Leeds and, so just quickly, since we've got it here, Leeds options. The top two seem to firmly be the ones we agreed to be the best, really.
Yeah, they have the best XG 1.38 for Bamford and
Bamford
1.02 Rafinha. Yeah, I think those are the two options, the realistic options people should be looking at Leeds anyway.
Yeah. There's just not really anyone else out there, is there, at the moment for them?
Yeah.
We'll just have to see. Firpo is right down there, but he's not played much.
That's true. Yeah, I think we can move on. I think Leeds is pretty much covered it. Yeah.
We'll come back to you if you start playing well. So stop playing well. So the fixtures coming up. Here we go. So ironically enough, Leeds right up there.
Leeds right up there, exactly.
But we've talked enough about Leeds, haven't we?
Yeah. I think
they've got great fixtures. We're not convinced.
They do.
What about Wolves?
Wolves, for me, offensively, still not up there, but defensively, they've been really good, like really good defensive numbers. So for me, like this week, for my transfers, spoiler alert, has been to bring in a Wolves defender, which we'll get to when we come to my transfers. But I would say looking at Wolves defenders is a good option at this point.
Yeah, totally agree. And what you said earlier about Leeds maybe being able to click offensively, I think that's going to happen much more at Wolves. They are the ones that
they do have good numbers. Yeah.
They're just shooting all the time, but just not returning in attack. But that I think will change.
Yeah,
Jimenez needs that goal, doesn't he?
He does. Just for that confidence, he needs that one goal, And they signed that new striker as well, right? I think South Korean.
I forget his name. He's South Korean. He looks good. I mean, his goal was very fortunate, but he looks good.
Yeah, exactly. Very fortunate goal. But he did look. And I think what team was he playing for? Was it in the Bundesliga? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, but I thought that
PSV.
Was it PSV? And anyway, I can't remember. But apparently, like, he is a pretty highly rated player. So with the Wolves attacking numbers, I mean, he could be an option. Maybe not even Jimenez. But I think it's more of a wait and see, just to see who's the main man at Wolves before.
I'm tempted by Trincao. Yeah.
Trincao, he looks good, but with Podence back, I don't know if Trincao is more of a rotation, threat, or if it's going to be Traore. I guess that's something also we'll need to see as well.
Yeah. Everton. Well, let's leave Everton for a moment. Arsenal. You're the Arsenal fan. Why should I be convinced that Arsenal are playing well? I mean, they beat Norwich and they did batter them, but they beat Norwich 1-0. I'm still not convinced by Arsenal. Like at all.
Yeah, see, Arsenal has good numbers. They're very similar to Wolves in terms of they've got good attacking numbers, but not finishing. Like, there's no one. Like, if you watch the game last weekend, Aubameyang had really good. I think he had at least 2 or 3 chances, really good chances, like almost sitters, which he completely missed. Well, not completely missed. To be fair, the goalkeeper did do a good job defending them, but he could, like, if it was peak Auba, like if it was like 2 seasons back Auba, he would have definitely put it back of the net. So for me, getting an Arsenal attacker is not something I would be doing. It's like a waiting game. I'm going to see, like, okay, fine, who's the main man? Is it going to be Auba? Is it going to be Pepe? Is Odegaard going to come into the picture of getting good attacking returns? So I wouldn't really try to get any Arsenal attackers at this point. Possibly defenders. I think Ben White in terms of 4.4 is a good value.
What
And
about their new right back?
Yeah, I was just going to get that. He looks really good, actually, Tomiyasu. He's really. So, I mean, he played for the Italian league. Did you watch any of the games that Juve versus Bologna? No. Okay.
Yeah, I did, but I tended to be quite Juve centric.
I'm sure.
If he, I'm sure I watched him at certain points, but I don't remember.
Yes. So from the highlights I've seen, like he seems really good defensively, and even he's got good offensive numbers as well. He's attacking, up the right flank, getting in good crosses. He actually had that really good chance as well last weekend, which got saved.
Yeah.
So, and he's at 4.5 for a right back. I think that's a good option as well. If you don't have Ben White, I think Tomiyasu would be a decent shout. But again, with Arteta, you never know. Like again, being part of the whole Pep training academy, you don't know how if he's nailed or if he's going to rotation exactly. So I wouldn't necessarily bring him in right now, but I think he should definitely be on your watch list as well.
Although I would suspect that spot is his to lose even now, because Bellerin doesn't look in the picture, does he?
No, I mean Bellerin's out on loan, right?
Real oh, is he out on loan? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's out on loan.
So is it Cedric that's covering right back?
Cedric and Chambers. So those and Maitland-Niles, which is like a makeshift right back as well. So really, Tomiyasu's the only option, or at least a good option that Arsenal has. So he should have that position nailed. But again, it's Arteta. So like I don't know. Like I'd say just wait.
Pointless tinkering. Perhaps,
yeah, exactly. Pointless tinkering. So I think Arsenal, they do have decent set of fixtures. Burnley, theoretically should be an easy game, but I bit my words.
I think Burnley will be up for that.
Yeah.
I think they will. I think I think Deitch will get them in a dark room, and he'll shout at them and say, "Arsenal is a great game to turn our form around."
Yeah, true.
And like Burnley are doing, they'll foul, they'll cause problems, I don't necessarily think Burnley will win, but they'll see it as a game to draw blood.
Yeah.
Literally.
Literally, I wouldn't be surprised the way they play. Yeah. It's very possible. So I think Arsenal just, if you have Ben White, play him, but I wouldn't really get any new Arsenal players for this game.
That's surprisingly honest of you in the sense that you're a fan, not you personally, obviously, but as a fan.
Yeah,
I like the fact that you don't have too much bias, because
I
see some pods where the fans their opinions don't correlate with some of the pretty obvious facts, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Suffice to say, Arsenal have been trying to, resurrect themselves since what? 2008, 2006. That's the last time I remember Arsenal being a truly great club on the pitch. They still are a great club on the pitch.
Sadly, but
they've had their moments, but I'm interested, but happy to completely ignore them if needs be, because
I think it's wise. Yeah, as an FPL,
for me, beating Norwich 1-0 at home is not an amazing result.
No, not at all. I mean, but to be fair, Arsenal did have a lot. Like I think they had 30 chances that game, but again, that just shows their lack of finishing. Like it's just like abysmal. Pepe actually created a lot of good chances that game, which again Oba didn't finish, or some other player didn't finish. So for me, their finishing is the main issue right now. Like defensively, with Ben White and Gabriel back, I think we should be stronger defensive because we have our main center back pairing right now. Our main issue is finishing, because creativity, we're getting the balls in and we're creating chances but not finishing them. So that's the main issue Arsenal has at the moment.
Yeah. I think Arsenal just need someone to emerge as their goal scorer, or they need to buy one, because
exactly.
It doesn't seem to me like Aubameyang wants that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he does look a lot better now. Like last game, he looked a lot more energetic. He looked healthier. He was making more runs. He looked more active. But again, his finishing, it just didn't look as good as what he was 2 seasons ago.
It's Norwich.
It's Norwich, exactly.
Exactly. That.
Yeah, like our main test will be the North London Derby in Game Week 6, especially against the Tottenham team, which I think would probably be our best chance of winning, because I think Son should be out. Spurs in the midfield, they're still trying to figure out like what's going on. Kane is, I don't know where his head is at the moment. So I think
it's a massive game, isn't it?
It's a massive game, and I think Arsenal should really like, I don't know, try their best and like give their all in that game, because I think that's our best chance of beating Spurs.
For me, Tottenham win that.
So I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't be surprised considering the track record that we've had recently. But I don't know. We'll see.
I hope I'm wrong, because as a
me too. I hope you're wrong.
Away from FPL, I prefer Arsenal to Tottenham as a team. I like Arsenal a lot as a club. I don't support them, but I like them a lot.
Yeah.
But Nuno, Son, Kane, they're reasonably strong defense, disregarding their last result.
Yeah.
Arsenal, well, it could go either way. I see goals in that match.
Yeah, well, let's see how the Burnley game goes, then we'll see. So.
Yeah. So after the top three, are there any fixtures that really stand out to you? Because for me, it's kind of those three teams, and then Chelsea when they come into the equation in game week 7.
Absolutely, no, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, for me, it's just Leeds, I think, have the best fixtures, like what we've seen on the ticker. Wolves defense, even I wouldn't be against getting one of their attackers as a differential, but again, it's still a differential pick. Arsenal play, like I said, I wouldn't get any attackers, but if you have like Ben White or one of the defenders, I mean, play them against Burnley. But that's about it. I mean, I don't really see like Everton play Villa, which is kind of a tricky game as well. So yeah.
Then Norwich at home.
So maybe, I don't know if Calvert-Lewin's back, or maybe even Gray as an option. So
yeah, interesting to see developments there when Calvert-Lewin comes back, because people are saying he's got a broken toe and a muscle injury. So I have no idea how long that means he'll be out for.
Not really.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, let's move on. Yeah.
Okay, so captaincy for this week. What are your thoughts?
I think Salah seems to be the standard captain option. He's playing at home, had a good week last game week, decent Champions League game as well. Bar missing the penalty. I think Salah is probably the standout captain. Lukaku also, I think, is a good shout considering the Spurs defensive issues they have right now. So I think going with Lukaku would be a decent option, but I think Salah at home would be the probability of him getting more points would be greater. Ronaldo at West Ham, I don't know. It is Ronaldo, so I mean,
anything can happen. Right?
Anything can happen. Bamford, I think Bamford is a decent differential captain at this point. But the thing is, if you have Salah, I wouldn't really go with a differential captain when Salah seems like the obvious choice.
And he's Mr. Reliable, as you said. He's Mr. Reliable.
Exactly, he's Mr. Reliable. Even with a 1 goal, it's still 6 points.
Unfortunately, he missed a penalty in the Champions League, which means he's never going to miss a penalty again in the Premier
League. That is what that means, yeah. and then finally, Aubameyang. Now that's really differential. If you want to go really differential, like Oba, I think is a decent shout as a differential captain. But like I said, if you have Salah, like why are you even overthinking it?
The only thing I like about Aubameyang is his price.
Yeah, he's the cheapest he's ever been in the game. I think 9.9. Yeah. So
but he needs to do more, not just to convince me or you, but everybody playing this game. He needs to do more.
Absolutely. So
why would you, like, for example, why would you pay 9.9 for Aubameyang when you can get Antonio for a few mil cheaper, or Calvert-Lewin when he's fit for a couple of mil cheaper? There's Ings. There's so many options out there that are just doing a much better job of actually playing good football and actually scoring goals than Aubameyang.
Absolutely.
He's, in FPL terms, he's very much resting on his laurels now.
Yeah.
He was, to all intents and purposes, a world-class player a few seasons ago, and he was scoring the goals. He's just not now. He's just not. Returning to the broad picture, I'm completely on board. Salah's my captain this week.
Me too. Yeah.
It could any one of these top three, I mean, and I think Bamford's a nice shout as well. I think Leeds will score in that game.
Yeah.
For me.
They should, yeah.
But yeah, Salah, firmly Salah. Best fixture at home, Anfield crowd. Crystal Palace will be emboldened by their last victory, I think, and go out attacking. And that will give them space. That will give Liverpool space.
That's true. Go on the counter, yeah.
If it was Roy Hodgson, they'd sit back all game. But with Vieira, I think they're going to try and probe forward.
True. Yeah.
Which will expose them.
Yeah.
So fixture predictions.
Ooh.
Shall we kick this off with Newcastle Leeds? What are your thoughts?
Why don't you kick it off? Let's see what you think. Yeah.
3-1 Leeds.
Ooh, 3-1 Leeds, huh? All right.
No Callum Wilson.
That's true, but they did look pretty good against United. Like, you know, like Saint Maximin. Who else was there? A winger again?
Matt Ritchie's doing quite well at the moment as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he was all right as well. So I don't know. I mean, I think 3-1. Yeah, I mean, I'd say more 2-1 maybe. I think 3-1 might be pushing it with the Leeds suddenly going crazy gung ho. But yeah, 2-1, 3-1.
2-1, 3-1. Both the Leeds win. You take the next one. Wolves Brentford.
It seems kind of like a boring game. Probably Wolves 1-0 or a 0-0. I don't really see too many goals in this game.
Me neither, especially given how Wolves have been defending.
Yeah, that's true. Even Brentford surprisingly have been defending decently as well. They've got decent numbers. So yeah, probably a 0-0, possibly 1-1 maybe.
Or even 1-0 Wolves. Sounds right to me.
Yeah.
Burnley Arsenal. I'll take this first. I don't know if I want to now. It's a tough one to pick. There's quite persuasive arguments either way. I'm going to have to go for an Arsenal win. Burnley will come out all guns blazing and they will sense blood, but they themselves are playing really badly right now.
Yeah.
They don't have cohesion. They don't really have threat offensively. Chris Wood is still not really kicked off. And maybe Burnley at home with their home crowd and a bit of that pressure to not get in the relegation zone might suit Arsenal. So I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal. What about you?
I think more of a 1-0. I wish I was wrong. I wish they did win 2-0, but I think with them playing away at Burnley and with us really not finishing our chances that well, I think a 1-0 seems to be a more realistic option. Yeah. I think 1-0. Liverpool Palace. Ooh. Well, as Salah's my captain, I hope it's like 6-0. But I think realistically, Palace have been pretty good recently. So I think maybe a 2-1 or a 3-1 Liverpool win. Yeah.
I was thinking that 3-1 Liverpool.
Yeah.
Palace might get something.
I think they might.
Liverpool will do what they do. They'll just suffocate them.
Yep, that's true. Yeah.
City Southampton.
You know, initially, if you asked me City Southampton, I would have been like, City's probably going to steamroll them 5-0, 4-0. But after watching the United game, and even the West Ham game as well, they've been pretty decent. So I think maybe City would have to work hard. So maybe a 2-1. Yeah,
I still believe City will win convincingly, but the point you make generally about Southampton, first of all, I'm very pleased about it, given that I'm a Saints
I'm sure
fan
you are.
as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're surprising a few people.
You are, yeah.
I had this horrible feeling that Antonio was going to go mental against us, and he got sent off. No goals.
Right.
What seems to be happening at Southampton, on a very, very brief tangent, because I know we're coming towards the end of the pod, is that they're just looking a bit more solid. Livramento at right back is pretty solid. Salisu in the middle is looking a bit more solid. McCarthy, the keeper, who I don't really rate that highly, he has been looking solid. So and Perrault, the left back, is playing well. So I think the foundation is there for Southampton to play a steady defensive game.
Sure.
But Southampton, for all their good positives over the last few games, they don't have the firepower of City. They just don't. So for me, it's going to be I'll go 4-0, 4-1.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look at City in their last game, and they've got so much in their arsenal.
That's true. It is City.
Grealish, Torres, De Bruyne, Foden, Sterling.
Yeah.
They're just weapons all over the place. And for me, Southampton will take a while to be breached, but when they are breached, I think it'll be 2-3, hopefully less. I'll go 3-0 City.
Okay. All right.
Norwich, Watford.
Again, this screams like a 1-1. Yeah, it doesn't really scream a goal fest to me.
You think Pookie will do some damage?
Yeah, I think Pookie might have a party this weekend, right?
Yeah, definitely possible, right?
Yeah, but Sar might get like one or two goals. So, but yeah, I don't know, 1-1. They're both not really posting that good of offensive numbers. So I think 1-1 maybe.
I'll go 2-2.
2-2. Okay.
Villa Everton. Oh, that's a tough one to call because people think that Villa are just going to get walked over, but I don't think that's the case.
No, they're playing at home as well. I think Martinez should be back, right?
This game? Watkins as well.
Watkins, yeah. And Ings can score against any team, so
yeah, he can.
I don't know. I think I see it more of as a draw, probably a 2-2.
I'll go 2-1 Villa.
2-1. Villa, okay.
Brighton Leicester. Again, a tough one to call because Leicester are going to have a reaction at some point.
They do.
They've got a squad of really, really talented players, and they can't have this bad form forever. And if they do have it forever, they'll sack Rodgers, right? So at some point, they have to turn it around.
Yeah,
and they will. There will be a game where, I mean, what Rodgers needs to do is reintegrate Iheanacho. I don't know why he dropped him. He was their best thing last season. And he thought, right, I tactically know best, which maybe he does, given he's the manager and he's won trophies. But still, he just ostracized Iheanacho from the starting 11. And you think, why? He's just an amazing player. So
yeah.
I envisage a reaction from them, but not necessarily this game. So 1-0 Brighton, I'll go 1-0 Brighton.
Yeah, but Brighton have been pretty strong defensively. Yeah. So yeah, I think a 1-0 sounds about right. Yeah.
West Ham United.
Oh, it should be a pretty good game to watch. I think United should win this, especially with Antonio out. I don't see West Ham scoring. It's possibly like a 2-0 for United.
Yeah, 2-0 sounds right.
Yeah, 2-0.
Spurs Chelsea.
Ooh, Spurs Chelsea. That Spurs defensive league. Lukaku. I think Chelsea should win this. Possibly 2-1 or 3-1. I can see maybe Kane getting back into the groove and scoring at least one goal. Maybe.
But Chelsea have got a mean defense.
They do have one of the best defensive teams. But it is Kane, so I mean, he could really, do it against any team. But Chelsea should win. Yeah, that's true. You transfer him out, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited to see your team, by the way. All right.
2-1 sounds right though. 2-1 Chelsea, I think. Don't see Spurs winning that. Right. So my team, I'll be very brief about this because I'm slightly embarrassed by it all. I took a -12.
No way. You took a -12?
I took a -12. And I took a -12 because I made some pretty substantial changes.
Okay.
My philosophy is, in FPL terms, slightly akin to Warren Buffett. I spent quite a bit of capital in terms of points, but long term, I'm hoping that I get good returns. Okay. Because not bringing Ronaldo in was a mistake. What I worry about, and I'd love to hear your opinion about this, what I worry about is not being able to afford Ronaldo and Lukaku together long term. That's my worry. And given that at the core of my philosophy is those two for this season, I want them and I want to be able to afford them and not mess about. The changes I actually made were Mele out for Sanchez. So I had 2 free transfers already, right? So I did a lot of transfers. Meslier out for Sanchez to free up some money, and also because I just don't trust Leeds' defence.
Sure.
I brought in Marçal for Kufal. I brought in Gray for Greenwood. Gallagher for the other midfielder. I forget which one it was. So I had Salah, Pogba, Greenwood, Ben Rama. Got rid of Ben Rama.
Okay.
And then I upgraded Antonio to Lukaku and shifted Ronaldo as well. So I'm playing 3-5-2, Sanchez, Marçal, Alec Trent, Livramento, Salah, Pogba, Gallagher, Gray, Rafinha, Ronaldo, Lukaku. What do you think?
Your team is not bad. It's actually looking pretty good. The only thing is, man, -12, huh? Oh man, it's gotta hurt. But again, I can see why you did it too. But thing
be
is,
as honest as you like. Genuinely, be as honest as you like. I'm not one of those people that can't handle criticism of their FPL team. I'd love your honest opinion. If you think it looks good, but I took a big hit, well, yeah. That's how I feel.
I think your team looks really good because you've got all the premium, like the main premium assets, and your team looks relatively balanced. My only issue is the hit, which again could pay off in the long term. The question is, are you planning to make any transfers next week for game week 6? Okay.
No.
And how about game week 7? What's your plan of getting a Chelsea defender?
My plan is to drop one of. So my plan is to upgrade Reguilon to probably Rudiger.
Okay. Yeah.
And downgrade one of Pogba, Gallagher, Gray, or Rafinha, depending on form, depending on my thoughts at that point.
Yeah, I think that's not bad. Like you can actually do it in one move. So yeah.
I don't think that Pogba, Gallagher, Gray, or Rafinha are all going to be good in a few weeks' time. One of them will look a bit like they're not playing as well.
Yeah, because
yeah.
United's fixtures I think turn in game week 7 or 8. I think they start with Everton, or I can't remember. So I think Pogba you could move on, but again, it's not a transfer you need.
But I like the nucleus of Pogba and Ronaldo. I like it.
It does look pretty good, right? Like
they're both guaranteed to start, pretty much. They're both huge egos, huge personalities. They both can get ludicrous points.
Yeah.
I can't see Ole dropping them.
That's true.
So if I can keep hold of those two till game week 14, my United coverage is looking good. Yeah. And then it's going to be tough for me to get 3 Chelsea players. It really is. But if I can get a defender, I'm all right with that.
But I think if you can get like James, I think you should be fine because he's like an attacking defender. Plus you got Lukaku.
Yes, but I don't like the rotation there. I mean, Tuchel's just as bad as Pep. He rotates all the time.
That's true.
And Chilwell as well. What happens to Chilwell? I mean, he came on for like 10 minutes in the Champions League, Chilwell. And Tuchel, I think, said Chilwell is now feeling better. He was feeling a bit bad after everything that happened over the summer because he was in the England squad but didn't get a minute in the tournament.
Yeah.
So apparently that demoralized him quite a lot. And he's had injuries and such.
Right.
So I'm tempted by Chilwell, but why? If I'm going to get one Chelsea defender,
really
I need to rely on them.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I think you should be good. I think you should be good for game week 7. I think you're. So I think if you don't make any more transfers, you have 2 free transfers. You do need to make an extra change. I think you're fine. The only thing is, the hit is going to cost your rank. But again, that's just in the short term. So I think
the hit is going to damage me massively. It could compromise my entire season. But I just think that in 10 game weeks from now, if I still have that core of Ronaldo, Lukaku, Salah, and Trent, and they're all playing really well and they're getting those points, I'm in a comfortable position where I can see the lay of the land. They're all going to rise in value, I think. And as I said, I don't want to be in a position weeks from now where I can't afford to have those 4. I want to be able to afford to have them. And I thought back again to the Italian league last year, and I thought about Ronaldo and Lukaku, and I think they're essential. They're not going to get many injuries. Yeah. They're going to get loads of goals. They're going to start every match, apart from maybe 1 or 2 very rare exceptions. And the same very much applies to Trent and Salah and Salah, right? So This whole business of, oh yeah, but if you have the 3 premiums, you have to captain one, the other ones I'm not going to captain. Yeah, I get that. It's a very valid point, but
Yeah,
I still have them and I still have their points.
that's true. You still have the points. Yeah.
And if
The only
anyone
thing
else
is,
captains them and gets points, I still have them and half the points to
that is true.
consolidate.
That is true. Yeah, yeah. And like I said, your team looks relatively well balanced, so I think you should be fine.
I mean, this is a
Um,
pod, right? And in this
yeah,
pod, we talk about FPL and we talk about our team. So I'll be honest, the
mm,
reaction of me doing this and getting the -12 was partly in anger and frustration
mm.
at my disappointment last game week. And I'm only human, right?
Yeah, fair
Um,
enough. Yeah.
but I just hope that over the weeks with that core,
Mm.
I can maintain value, keep those guys in there. I don't want to get rid of Ronaldo and Lukaku. I don't want to get rid of them. I want to keep them. I'd love to have Antonio there as a third striker, but there's just no way
Yeah.
I can afford it.
Fair enough. But can I ask you, why did you play your wild card? Last game week, was it the week before?
So the game week before, I played my wild card. I think it was a mistake to play it as early as I did, but I played it because I wanted to kind of get a bit ahead of everyone else, and I wanted to set up a 3-5-2 and get Kane in there as a placeholder for Ronaldo or Lukaku or whoever, and
Sure.
just gently tweak my team as players
Okay.
came into the reckoning.
Okay.
But I wasn't happy with my team, and I didn't really wildcard. Like, for example, in my wildcard, I heavily backed Spurs. I brought in Reguilon and Kane.
Reguilon,
Bad
yeah,
move.
yeah.
Like they're not looking that great, Spurs now. I didn't pay much heed to the fixture swing. I just kind of kept things comfortable because the players are playing well, people like Benrahma and such. So I kind of used it at the wrong time. And if I'd used it this week, I would definitely be in a lot better position. But what's
Fair
done
enough,
is done,
yeah.
right?
That's true.
So
What's
I'm
done,
going to
yeah.
look forward, be positive, and
Yeah.
just I like how my team looks now. So
That's perfect. As long as you like it. And like I said, you've got all your premium assets covered. So at least you can go into the game week thinking, okay, even if Lukaku scores or Ronaldo scores, you're covered.
in this
So,
particular week, yeah, I agree.
yeah,
In this
yeah,
particular
yeah.
week, Livramento against City looks weak, but it's that or Reguilon against Chelsea, right? So
So that's another thing I want to bring in as well. I personally would play Reguilon, even though Lukaku could have a good game. But the thing is, Reguilon does get up front. He does, put in those crosses. So you could even get like some attacking returns, even if it's not a clean sheet. And thing is, you
yeah,
like for
it's
me,
just the Chelsea defense. They're so good. It's like breaking. It's like trying to break down a wall.
that's true. But one thing I've learned from playing FPL is if you have a premium defender, play him, especially if it's a fullback. Like there's
Yeah,
always that chance he might get attacking return. So like it's like I don't see Livramento score. I see Reguilon either scoring or assisting a better probability compared to Livramento against City.
yeah,
So I mean, so I personally would play Reguilon or Livramento if I were you.
yeah.
There's something to
That's good
consider.
advice.
Yeah.
So moving, yeah, definitely something to. I think that's very good advice. So moving on to
Yeah.
your team, looking healthy. Talk me through
Yeah.
it.
So essentially, the only transfer I did was I had Ealing, and initially I was happy to keep him because I was like, yeah, he's playing Newcastle. They've got Leeds have got a decent picture, but after seeing their defensive issues that Leeds has, and Ealing will most likely play a center back next game, I definitely want to take that chance. So I wanted to bring in a Wolves defender. So I was contemplating whether bringing in Marcel or Semedo. So Semedo's I think was like 0.4 expensive, 0.4 million more expensive, and definitely a more attacking fullback. However, he's kind of like Traore, where it's like no end product. You see him, get a few chances. Even last game, he missed 2 absolute sitters. He should have scored.
Absolutely, I remember
Yeah,
seeing them.
yeah. So I was like, Semedo seems like a good option. But then I thought to myself, Marcel is 0.4 cheaper. And I think I might even keep a Wolves defender on my wild card. Like just might keep him in on my team for long term. So in that way, I'd rather spend less on Marcel, keep him on my bench, and then have maybe another more expensive defender, use that 0.4 million, bring in an expensive Chelsea defender. So I think that's why I kind of tipped the scales for me in bringing in Marcel compared to Semedo, which it's going to be tricky because I think Semedo could have a good game, but I think Marcel could match those points in the long run, and is cheaper as well. So essentially, Marcel was the only transfer that I made. And then rest of my team is as is. And I bench Antonio because I don't think it's a good idea selling him this week.
Yeah, I concur. I think your team looks really strong.
Yeah, the bench
defense
unfortunately is
great.
super weak. Yeah, like no one. Amarte doesn't play. Antonio is like what do you call suspended, and Obafemi's not even in the league. I think he's loaned out somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
so
next week you'll have Antonio back.
yeah, exactly. And then Benrahma is going to be there as well. So hopefully I'm counting on West Ham doing well in the next 2 game weeks.
You've
but
got
yeah,
Ronaldo, Salah, and Trent.
yeah,
You've got plenty of firepower.
yeah. Lukaku's
Defense
only a
looks
mission,
like, yeah.
but which
Sorry?
Lukaku's only a mission, but I plan on bringing him in game week 7 anyway for Ronaldo, or possibly even having Ronaldo and Lukaku maybe. But I guess I'll make that call come game week 7, depending on how well Ronaldo does. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I can't. I don't really have any comments. It's just it looks like a very strong team. I think your defense looks like it could get a lot of points. All of them, in fact. Marcel, White, they all could get returns.
They could, yeah.
Including the keeper, and then your midfield. I don't think necessarily
Benrahma
will get much against United, but
no,
you never know, right? And
it's true.
Yeah, Jota again looks tempting there.
Yeah, Jota hopefully should come goal, because last game week he was unlucky not to get that assist, which Mane should have finished. So I can see some good attacking returns for Jota this game week.
Yeah, looks like a very strong team, Sammy. Looks like a very strong team.
Thanks. Okay.
And I think that concludes the pod for this week. So thank you everybody for listening and tuning in. Just one final thing: if you want to join our league, the league code is in the top right-hand corner there. If you've enjoyed the content and enjoyed listening to Sammy and I, whether it's for advice or for our thoughts generally on the game, we would be very grateful if you'd like the stream and subscribe. That would be fantastic, because we are trying to build a fan base and we're trying to build a nice little community here. And we both love the game, so we'd be fantastic. We'd be very grateful if you would subscribe and like.